Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started so we can get moving. Oh, for Pete's sake, we don't want to break the camera. Okay, as the sign up there says, March Aero Club Safety Meeting, and this is the April meeting. And if you don't know what I just said, that means you're probably in the wrong room. My name is Roger Mann. I'm the Aero Club Safety Officer, and Bob Pierce over here is the manager. And Fred Zoltz sitting right there in the middle of the white T-shirt and beard. That's the old former manager of the Aero Club. And yeah, former manager. Yeah. Okay, and then John Law. He's our chief pilot over here. Raise your hand. Yep, there you go. And you've got Jerry Rose, who's right next to him. He used to be the former chief pilot, but we fired him. He's now runs the Civil Air Patrol pretty near now. So let's see, who else am I missing? Anybody? Most of our other flight instructors disappeared. So okay. Usually for you new guys, what we do is we kind of run a little bit of a routine, just to do the same old thing at the beginning. And how many here came to the pizza party?
I came to half of it.
Half of it, okay. How many had real pizza? You know, it was good. Yes, it was Costco pizza, which actually does a good job. Yep. Well, thank you for coming to that. Okay. Yes, we do have 234 Whiskey Papa. Okay, it finally came back after 9 years. Fred sent it down there in January, I think it was 2005, and it sat there ever since. It was being outfitted for all kinds of things. Fred was trying to get the things so that it would be instrumented fully in IFR, night, day. And it can do a commercial rating of the thing too. Those are the pictures of it right there. Because you can see in the upper right hand corner and the lower left hand corner, of course, if you can see double vision with this projector that we got. But you know, you can see they're fully instrumented, and it's we just have to do an acceptance inspection. Hey, George.
AKA Tim Bendit.
Yeah. All right, everybody stand up. So we did get the airplane back. The annual has been done on the airplane. So the only thing we do have to do is do an acceptance inspection on the thing. When we're going to get it up in the air, I'm not sure yet. That's Bob and David G's place for them to figure that one out.
Should be good by next week. I'm not sure on Bob's.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. Also, I keep getting asked how much is it going to cost per hour. Right now we're charging $1,000 an hour at this point.
Maintenance gets half of that.
Yeah, maintenance gets half of it. Because it cost a lot of money for this airplane. So, but we haven't figured out yet just how much we're going to charge for it. But we obviously, because it's fully instrumented and everything, it's going to be a little bit more than the other T-34s. So for you guys that like to fly cheap, you know, forget about flying this one for a while. So no, I don't know. We just haven't figured out just yet what we're going to do. That's about all I can think of, unless you got something to add to it. Okay. All right, new people. All right, because I don't see everybody, but I want all the new people to stand up and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Hugo Castaneda. I just got into the club last Thursday, so I haven't had my first flight yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Took you so long.
Yes. Welcome, Hugo.
Thank you. I'm not new.
Well, you are new.
Oh.
Yeah, you're
Recycled.
recycled.
Leroy Thompson, Jr., Army.
There's George Watson back there in the back. Don't you two guys start talking about Army, okay?
Helicopter pilot. Get back and,
We haven't got any of those yet, we're gonna get some though.
I just bought one.
Yeah, he just,
Yeah. Yeah, I've been around for a while. I've been living here in Moreno Valley since, the 33 years or something like that.
oh, I thought you were gonna say since the 30s.
It's not since the 30s, it feels like.
That's what,
That's what he meant, but his Alzheimer's is getting to him.
yeah, exactly. All right, okay. Welcome to the club. All right. Okay, I think is that any more other new people? No. Lord Massey, he's old. Okay. All right, new pilot ratings. Has anybody just got a license? Let's see, and the ratings and, now, you know, what's his name?
We get solos this week?
Yeah, the guys have been getting their ratings, and they seem to just don't make this meeting, you know, because they know I'm gonna make them stand up. Has anybody just recently soloed or did their first cross-country? Their first long cross-country? I know. She's not getting it. Tomorrow, oh, it is okay. Well, that's, you know.
We'll count it.
Huh? Oh, yeah.
We'll count it.
We count it, yeah. Okay, anybody hasn't done nothing, huh? That includes Air Force, you know. That's not just old Aero Club, you Air Force pilots.
I
Nothing?
spent 10 hours in a P3 on Sunday/Monday morning over the ocean. It was a Department of Homeland Security P3 looking for drug owners' boats.
Wow. Oh, really? Okay.
Club needs a supplemental income somehow.
We'll talk after the meeting. Work something out.
All right, okay. And David, you still have all your licenses and everything, right?
Yeah, I still
Yeah.
got them, I think so, I checked the other day.
Okay, yeah, okay. All right, this is when George Watson likes to stand up. Okay, any experiences of anything that's taken place, it can include anything unusual or anything that's, you know, took place that you could like to share with the club. Anything exciting? George always has something. Cause he,
I'm down in Fallbrook, you know, with a short runway, so the latest incident was a beautiful 182 that was on his takeoff run, and his engine sputtered a few times, and he was about to rotate, and he avoided his takeoff, blew a tire, and just stopped about this far.
Flower pot.
We are going to have pretty soon a flight instructor day we bring the students to. Going to have some barbecue and stuff, and ask the flight instructor to bring the students down there and practice this crosswinds and short field landing, short runway landing down there. So that's coming up pretty soon.
Am I qualified, George?
Huh?
Can I get in there?
Not in your airplane.
okay.
It may not be able to get out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, has anybody been violated by the FAA?
Not lately.
Not lately, okay. All right.
Oh, actually, I got an experience, actually. Wasn't me, but...
Oh, yeah.
No, actually, no, it's not one of those stories, but no. My flight school, my flying club, Royal Aviation in John Wayne, we had a student who was renting, and she did her solo cross country up to not Santa Cruz.
Santa Maria?
Maybe Santa maybe what it was.
Santa Rosa?
And she flew up there, and no one knows what happened really, but we're assuming she porpoised and had a prop strike, and decided to fly it back to John Wayne.
Oh, gee.
With the the curls on the.
It makes it go faster.
She noticed
Yeah.
a strange vibration. She wasn't sure what it was,
Q-tip props.
and part of the firewall was like pushed back and had like maybe half authority with the elevator, but she threw it back. She felt kind of weird, but she threw it back and down.
Okay, well,
Oh, and it was a 172 SP. It was a nice airplane.
oh, gee, yeah, of course, yeah, the real nice one. Was it glass?
No, it was a nav 2.
Okay. Yeah, okay, well, that's that, yeah. Don't ever fly your airplane. There's a guy in the Aero Club that tried to do that one time too. Not our Aero Club, but you know, we got the PIF on it. Okay. Not anybody else. Okay. Bob's gonna get up and talk. And then we're gonna talk, the 452nd Wing Safety Office is gonna talk to us. And our subject tonight is, do you know your flaps? And then if we have any time, tips on avoiding the midair, if we have time. Okay, manager.
I don't have a whole lot to say this time because I've been gone.
So,
I said you're gonna take care of my spot today.
yeah. All right. However.
Well, the
Okay.
only thing I can say, guys, and that is, there's a big push to make money this year for this Aero Club. I'm only,
Well, we're talking about the P3 and the drugs, what more can we do?
we're doing everything underhanded that we can make survive. No, we're just gonna have to fly more hours this year. I'm really serious on that. There's a big push. I'm being pushed, and we just got to take and support the club more. We're going to have to do some price raising as the summer approaches. So there'll be a few dollars here and there that they can increase the income into the club. So we have to take and do that. Unfortunately, in the past, with all of the contracts that have been delayed, which has curtailed our income, believe it or not, the engine for 5.7 is still in contracting. We're in the 4th month now that's been sitting in contract, which is December the 15th, and she still hasn't got it done yet. So it's some big issues, and we're still pushing. We got the contract for 555. That will go into, we'll ferry that over to Aero Craftsman around the 1st of May. That's his opening. He's got 3 bonanzas in there that have been geared up. He thinks about the 1st we can get that in there. Maybe 5 to 6 weeks, and we'll get 555 back. So that's the latest on the T-34s.
Follow up on Bob's talk about making more money. I'm thinking about holding another meeting separate from safety. And I don't know if we'll do it here or someplace else, but it's going to be a meeting. It's going to be discussing the future of the Aero Club. There's, like Bob says, we're going to have to raise some prices. We are going to have to do some things, and Bob and I are both working on advertising. I mean, really advertising, and that includes you guys. You know, talking about the club. So we're going to try to hold some kind of meeting sometime in the future. I'm not sure when. Where it's just going to be non-safety meeting. It's just going to be just membership meeting as a membership club. So, enough said on that. Okay, we have a guest who's going to do a little bit here. He's going to chew us all out for safety. So, David?
Thanks.
All right, let me move you up there.
Okay. Like I said, I'm David Cody. I fly KC-135s out of here. I've been here since 2002 doing that. And I also fly for U.S. Customs down in San Diego, flying King Airs, and occasionally get to fly the P3 and do the same mission, looking for boats, drug smuggling boats, and alien smuggling boats over the ocean, anywhere between went south Mexico up to San Francisco area. It's kind of our area of operation. But anyways, I want to talk about 2 incidents today. One's a mishap. This first one's obviously a mishap, 4 fatal. The next one's some incidents we've had around here in March with laser strikes. So this one, I bring it to our attention because it's the cause, or one of the causes of this accident was caused by texting while pre-flighting. So we all know about texting while driving, how dangerous that is, and of course texting while flying, which this pilot also was guilty of. But this brings to light the importance of paying attention during your pre-flighting, and really your pre-flight planning as well. I'll read some of the highlights of the article. This was on CNN a couple months ago. So James Frudenberg had a reputation as a safety-conscious helicopter pilot, but when he prepared himself for a medical flight in August 2011, this was a med flight helicopter, while simultaneously engaging in a private text conversation, he set into motion events that led to the deaths of 4 people. It says his actions could rewrite the rules on when pilots can send private messages or make personal phone calls. This happened in Missouri, and once again, it was blamed on fatigue training and distracted texting. So, when the NTSB investigated this, they of course looked at his cell phone records as well, and that's when they found out that he had been actually texting during the flight, 18 minutes prior to the accident. But that's not what really set this accident in motion. What set it into motion was that during the pre-flight, he was texting some of his work buddies about things about like where they were eating, just non-related to flying. He sent a ton of text messages, and they believe that it was those text messages that caused him to get distracted during his pre-flight, and he had a fuel stop as well halfway through his day, and he basically overlooked the amount of fuel that was put on his aircraft, on the helicopter. He was expecting a certain amount, and it turned out to be a lot less. He didn't check it then, he didn't check it en route, and it led to this helicopter flaming out and crashing, killing all on board. It says it's easy to imagine that some of these interruptions could have led to forgetting steps, including checking the fuel level, performing the pre-flight. Basically, the thing to take away from this is that even when you're pre-flighting or planning, we're going to get distracted, whether it be text messages or a million other things, or a call from our wife or husband. But the key is to know where you stepped out of your checklist or your pre-flight procedures and get right back in to where you left off so you don't miss anything. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about this one? Let's talk about 2 recent laser illuminations that have happened at March over the past month and a half, I'd say. Both of these are with the Customs aircraft. One was a helicopter, and one was one of the PC-12s out here. One was 6 miles southeast of the field. The other one was 2 miles east, just off Alessandro. On that first one, it was a green laser that illuminated the cockpit for 2 seconds. A couple things to take away. Of course, obviously, if you do get lased, do what you can to not look at the light, and hopefully your eyes don't get damaged in the process. But I was doing some FAA research on this, and ATC regards laser illumination of aircraft as an in-flight emergency, and they'll treat it as such until you say otherwise. So the other thing is they want you to go on FAA.gov and fill out a laser illumination report if you do get lased. Also, when you get back here, notify your chain as well, because March Safety wants to know about it as well if it happened anywhere around our local area. I also have a way we could all win $10,000. This was
you skipped that part.
All of a sudden, everyone perked up there. The back row was lit up. This was an interesting article that I found. This was in Fresno, California. Sergio Patrick Rodriguez, 26, of Clovis, California, was sentenced today to 14 years in prison for aiming a laser pointer at Fresno police helicopter Air 1 and attempting to interfere with its operation, says the U.S. District Attorney. He was convicted by a federal jury after a 3-day trial in Fresno in December of 2013. Some other highlights of this article. The FBI will work with its law enforcement partners to locate and arrest those who engage in dangerous, improper use of handheld lasers and puts us all at risk. So the FAA and the federal government's getting serious about these laser illuminations. It goes on to talk about a laser threat awareness campaign that the FAA has going on, and along with the FBI. And here's the good part. The FBI will offer up to $10,000 for information leading to the arrest of any individual who intentionally aims a laser at an aircraft. if you see someone pointing a laser at an aircraft, call 911. So there you go. Keep your eye out for Dave or someone pointing lasers at aircraft, and you can not only get him thrown in jail, which we'd all appreciate. You'd also be $10,000 richer. So, anyways, check the FAA website for details on that. I'm sure there's a lot of fine print on that one. So, that's all I have. Does anybody have any more questions? Yes, sir.
So both of these incidences were with green laser?
I don't know about that second one, about the color, but I'll have to get back to you on that one. But that first one, which was the helicopter, one of their A-stars, is 6 miles away. That one was a green laser, and it was about just 2 seconds or so. But like the FAA says, a lot of these can be very dangerous to the eyes. So if you obviously the first thing you want to do when you see something distracting is look at it. That's a natural response, but do your best to look away quick. Any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you. We appreciate you coming down here and sharing this stuff with us. This is what we need. They get tired of looking at me. Right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. A little tidbit here, in case you haven't renewed your medical lately. How many know that you must go on to FAA.gov in order to fill out your next medical? Yeah, that's if you haven't done it for a while. I know your younger guys, which you have 5 years to do it, you guys might get caught up in it. The older guys have to do it, every 3 months. Seems that way. Every 2 years. You have to get on with FAA MedX Express, and the site is it's https medxexpress.faa.gov, and you have to fill out the form 8500-8. Basically, it's just the same form that you used to fill out in the doctor's office, where you used to sit and have to fill this thing out and regurgitate out of your head and remember everything that you did before. It does make that a little easier, at least at home. If you're filling this thing out in your computer and you go, okay, what did I do in the last one I did? I always keep my old ones just so that I don't forget something, because FAA really does look this stuff up. And not only that, if you put on there, have you ever gotten a DUI, and you say no, guess what? If you have, they'll find out. I've read some cases where the people got their license taken away by FAA because they lied. And they do cross-check. They do a computer cross-check if you say no on a DUI. So this has been in effect since 1 October 2012. Pilots must use it now, and it is mandated. But you can still see your favorite medical person, whoever that is, and I guess it makes it a little bit easier on their end too, because now they can pop it up on their computer, and so the paperwork side of it makes it easier for your physical. That means he can spend longer time looking at you and finding something wrong. So, unless you got a good examiner. Any questions on this? Okay, if not, we'll go to the next one. Okay. Know your OI, or SOP. We still call her an SOP because we've heard nothing about the new OI that's supposed to come out and replace our SOP. It's going on now 4 months now, something like that. 5 months?
6 months.
6 months, yeah. Okay, what I do here is I just go over a paragraph per paragraph, going over the SOPs, and kind of help you remember some of the things that you're supposed to learn or know about. On Chapter 6, which is Maintenance Operating Procedures, 6.5 is talking about the aircraft progressive inspection chart. We do have one up on the wall, hangs up on the wall when you're facing my desk is to your left. How up to date it is, I'm not real sure. Bob and I were kind of looking it over today, and it is a little out of date in a couple of airplanes. But technically speaking, you should be able to look at that board and walk into the office, and if you're flying something, like like the 182, you should be able to look up there and see when the next annual's due, when the ELT is due, and all that stuff. They should have that up there. That's besides the fact, of course, you know, when you go on the computer's going to tell you all that stuff too. So it's displayed on the office just as it says in the SOP, and just make sure that you check it and make sure you're not flying the thing out of you know, whatever you call it, against the law. Okay, any questions on this? Okay, we're going to go right into what tonight was about. Flaps. Do you use them? This is just going to be kind of an overview of what the flaps are like. I'm not going to try to tell you anything over for you students, what your instructor would try to tell you. And a lot of you old timers, you know, you pretty much know when to use your flaps and how to use them. But just real quick, flaps work in making two basic alterations to the design of the wing. It changes the airfoil camber of the wing, and it increases the wing's effective area, reducing stall speed. The general formula for calculating lift. A given amount of it can be achieved at a lower airspeed by increasing the coefficient of lift and or with an increase in lifting area. That means you can fly slower and not hit the ground. That's basically the bottom line. By increasing lift by the wing, reducing stall and increasing drag makes it possible to take off and land at lower speeds. We're going to watch as you will see, this video is old, like 1938, okay? This is even before it was called NASA, but it was back in those days it was NACA. But it shows that they already knew about this stuff. I have an article right here that really gets into it technically wise as to what happens. And they knew clear back in the 20s and early 30s pretty much how the aerodynamics work. But this is actually kind of a neat video to watch, and just what I was just talking to you about. You know, I just have to get this going, and then I have to find the right spot because I don't want you to sit through the whole thing. Nope. Yeah. No. You don't want to hear the sound.
Silent movie.
Yeah. No. It does have sound, but the problem is whoever picked the music for this thing, it drives you nuts. It's like they using one of these xylophones or something, and they're going like this with it, and it drives you nuts listening to it. Okay. Let me get to right. Okay, this is just showing a flat wing with no camber to it or anything. Okay. Okay. Now it talks about here various means have been developed increasing the lift of airfoils to prevent lower landing and takeoff speed, which is what we just talked about. And this kind of gives you a visual of what those things do. And one of those is the adjustable trailing edge flap, which of course we call today flaps. Okay.
I didn't read very fast.
Okay, now you have your basic wing, and then now you take the end of that wing and then you bring it down. The flap makes it possible to use large amounts of camber at low speeds, where drag is not objectionable. In other words, obviously putting a flap down is going to cause drag. Now you can see how the air goes over the top of the wing, and how it still keeps. You can now bring where you can get a little bit slower. Your stall speed decreases, and you got a lower speed now. Okay, the flap increases lift for a given angle. Okay, and then they show you a picture of it. And of course, you know the stall can cause, because this upper portion right here gets distorted, and of course the plane can't fly anymore. The stall angle is only slightly affected by deflecting the flap. Okay, that's without a flap. You notice how all that disruption up here. And then with a flap, okay, it brings it a little bit smoother across the top. The attitude of the airfoil for zero lift is considerably changed when the flap is deflected. And of course that's flying straight and level. Okay, there's the flap. Now you notice how you can really see there how it can cause a lot of drag. So when you're just flying straight, that's why you don't use your flap. So basically flap won't help you in flying the airplane or keeping it in the air. Basically it's used for when you're doing low air speeds into landing, or if you need it for takeoff. Okay, to the plane flap is shown with a split flap. Okay, now that's now getting to what most of our airplanes have today. And this kind of depicts shows you how that helps make things better. Okay, oh no, okay, this is the other one. This is the one, I guess the Cessna 310 used to have that. And some of the DC-3 used to have this too, this type of flap. It just causes a lot of drag, and so most airplanes today don't use that. You can see the difference between that and a regular flap that's off the end of the wing. The slotted flap has a nozzle shape, because this is the one I was talking about, the slotted flap. Now you can see here, there's a slot right here. And you can see how the air is going up through and bringing it down. The jet of the air of the slot tends to delay separation over the top of over the flap. So without that there, it tends to be more turbulent. But here, it actually brings it, and it tends to keep it right down on the flap.
So how many Aero Club airplanes?
Depends.
They all do.
They all do, yeah.
Every one of them has that type of flap. They all run on tracks. They all do.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And this depicts as to why they have it that way. And lift can also be increased by sliding the leading edge. How many have flown an STOL airplane? Short takeoff and landing. I have. I used to fly a Raleigh.
They sat in the back for a while.
Yeah, well, Fred, who used to fly a Raleigh, and I used to fly a Raleigh. That airplane had leading edge slats just like this. And it used to come out, and that thing, I could take off with 10 feet of runway. I just go straight up. And see, with the air going right through here, it tends to keep the air from separating off the top of the wing, is what it does. When they originally came out with this, in the early years, there was a lot of people that didn't like it. See the difference when the slat closes up? See, now see how it brings down the air across here. It brings it down. It tends to want to bring it in. See, and then it poof goes up. The Raleigh that I flew, that thing, I mean, I could do just about anything. You could not stall the airplane. I don't know if Fred remembers that or not, but you couldn't stall it. You just hang there. Okay. All right, 10 things about flaps. It increases lift, increases drag, and we saw that in the video, causes stalls to be more abrupt, which it can do, lower stall speed, it reduces climb rates, changes produce pitch changes, steepen descent angles, change trim needs, and shorten takeoff roll, and narrow stall range. This article I have right here, he talks about using flaps for climbing and takeoff. And it's a fascinating article, it really is. He gets into the reason why, you know, the airplane, when your flaps, when you're using it, there are times when you have to use it for unusual circumstances, which is what I get into here. But the airplane, it does not help make the airplane fly any better, and it doesn't help the plane stay in the air. But it does bring that stall speed, makes it go down so that you won't stall the airplane out. And you can just about do anything if you know what you're doing. If you're a good pilot and been flying for many years, you can get really good at using your flaps. Well, many ways of getting your airplane to land just about anywhere. In my hometown up Northern California, there's a lot of runways that are out in the middle of nowhere with grass and fields and stuff like that, and a lot of people just land in those places all the time. Arrivals and departures work best when airplanes flown between 1.3 and 1.5 V stall. Flaps also change the load carrying ability of the structure, dropping the normal category load limits. Don't use flaps in rough air. For those of you who have been flying for many years, you know that. Fly a little faster for landing as a long runway length if it's not a factor. Putting down the flaps, generally the pattern most call for one notch, which works well. Bob, you have and Jerry, I know you guys have a technique where you what, one potato? Is that how you say it? I use something different backronism, but that's, you know, and that usually gives you about, what, 10 degrees flaps. I asked this question to 3 people today and I got 3 different answers. Why do you want to put the gear down first in a T-34 before you put the flaps down? It's more important,
Better to
okay.
have your wheels out than to have your flaps.
That's true, yep, that's a true statement.
Procedure thing for us, so we don't land with the wheels anymore.
Okay,
Open throttle out and make the horn come on, make the gear come out, make the horn go away. It's the safest way to operate the line.
You can land with the flaps up and with the wheels up.
that's a true statement, yes, yeah.
Your gear extension is usually higher than your flap extension, so you can slow
Yeah.
down to get your flaps down.
Yeah, yeah. In the 141, we used to do a lot of zero flap landings for currency, the pilots, and of course, we always had the gear down, and then we did the flaps. And so, Bob brought up another point too. What did you said today?
You won't overstress the flaps if you get the gear down and get it down to speed.
Yeah, the flaps are more likely to be the, you know, because you don't want to overstress the flaps for one thing. Usually the gear speed is higher than what the flaps are, so,
Creates the most drag, gets you
Yep.
reduced speed.
yeah. Because you're going to get drag with the gear already, and with the flaps, you're also going to get drag too. And also too, you know, when you put, you know, you guys fly the T-34, do you ever notice any kind of pitch change when you put the gear down? Okay, but you do with the flaps, right? Obviously. Yeah. So, okay, I guess that's a lot. Not going to get any more into that. Takeoff. In our aircraft, we normally don't use flaps. However, as especially students now know that you got to use flaps usually for clearing an obstacle or when you have a soft wheel takeoff. One notch, you can do some amazing things with the airplane because you have the minimum amount of drag, but the airplane will perform at least to get yourself out of there if you're trying to clear an obstacle. In some cases, you might have to do more, but hopefully not. For the most part, for a Cessna, it's 10 degrees. The one thing, like down at that bottom statement, watch out for retracting your flaps too soon. Make sure you got a good airspeed and that you've not only cleared the obstacle, but you are, going. Don't just take those flaps up because I'll tell you what, that plane will settle back down. And you may not want to do it when you're coming up on some trees. Non-standard, sometimes occasionally come where you need to use out of ordinary flaps, i.e. 2-notch takeoff from a short field with an obstruction. Or you got a soft field takeoff with an obstruction, or anything else that might take place. The one thing that this article talks about, it says really the flaps, the biggest thing they do is just they lower your stall speed, but the engine is what really is taking the airplane out. So you hope the engine doesn't quit on you either. Inbound to a runway with a displaced threshold for an obstacle clearance use may require full flaps for max drag, steepening your descent without increasing airspeed. I used to fly into an airport called Covelo, and it's up in the mountains way, way, way up in the back country. And their runway up there had power lines going right off, literally off the threshold of the runway. So that's, guess where the instructors always want to take everybody, is there. I was going for my commercial at the time, and you literally 100% flaps, and you got right over the top of those wires, and then you dove through that runway. That's the only way you got in there. And there's a mountain on the other side, so there was no go around. Yeah. And then you got to the end of the runway. When you took off, guess what? To those power lines. So it was very interesting place. That was when I was going for my commercial, that was my wonderful instructor. He took me up there, and he wasn't as good as Jerry though. Bottom line, know your airplane, know your flap system, know your performance of your airplane. Ward and I were flight engineers together in the C-141, and we had to go to a class in the Air Force that we spent, what was it, the first school was 6 weeks or so, where we learned nothing but the performance of the airplane. Before we even did anything with the maintenance part of the airplane, we learned the performance of the airplane first. And it was a book this thick. It had charts in it. And we had to go through that whole book. And then we learned about the airplane later. But we had to learn the performance first. Knowing your performance, I know that a lot of people just blow off performance on a small Cessna, but there are situations, and as we all have seen through certain videos of people like that one guy who took off with the 3 guys that videoed, and it was on every YouTube in the whole world where they took off and density altitude, and the plane never could climb any farther than I think 1,000 feet off the ground, and he finally crashed into the trees. Fortunately, nobody was killed, but they have the whole video of that thing. And there's people that just blow off this stuff, and I don't care how small your airplane is, especially if you're going to have more than yourself in that airplane. It's extremely important. Your big airplanes, it's very critical, but it's also critical for the little airplanes. And we showed that one video with a guy out of Corona who had his airplane piled with stuff all the way up to the ceiling. And it was what? It was a Cessna
210.
210. Pretty good performing airplane, you know, has a lot of horsepower. But the guy, and in the video, the people were telling him he shouldn't go. And he was just telling the people, I've done this before. Right there in the video. And he gets in the airplane. He made it out of Corona, but he went up to pick up his wife. I think it was up in
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Got out of there.
They got out of there because the runway is really long up there, but they never made it to Mexico, which is where he was going. They crashed and killed them both.
She's
So-
a big girl, huh?
Huh? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, gee, David, that's it. Yeah.
Must have been
Okay.
in the back seat.
Yeah, I know. Okay, questions? Just for that, David, I'm gonna spend the next 10 minutes on this other, no. Okay, short tips on avoiding mid-airs, keep the windshield clean, okay? That's why we, you know, everybody, I don't care what airplane you're flying, T-41A, C, 182, T-34s, clean the windshields, okay? And of course, your T-34 pilots know that George Watson is never going to let you get away with not cleaning that airplane. Use ATC. Ask for services. Call ground control. When you call ground control, call services. Sterile cockpit. Keep your eyes open, especially when you're going over Lake Matthews or the East training area. Just, you know, don't be sleeping. It's not the time. Also, I know for you students, you know, you're doing a lot of work and trying to fly the airplane and concentrate what you're supposed to do, but part of that training is also keeping your eye open for any other air traffic. Clouds or haze can make it easier to see. Yeah, it can to a certain degree. It kind of depends. I've been in haze where it was like IFR. You know, looking straight down you can see everything, but looking straight ahead in the sun you can't. Use your lights and strobes, and of course when you fly at nighttime, in a lot of ways nighttime is kind of a neat time unless you got somebody flying around out there with no lights on. Usually you can see other people. And I had somebody come in the Aero Club the other day and said, I'm concerned about flying at night because I'm afraid somebody's going to run into me. And I said, well, no, usually it's not. Now, up in Northern California, where my hometown is, yeah, every once in a while there'd be somebody flying up there without any lights on their airplane in the middle of the night. That can happen. But it's I would say that it's probably a very, very, very low percentage. Most airplanes use their lights, especially down here in Southern California, and you can see a lot better, but it's a neat time to fly at night too. Okay, any questions? Okay. Unless somebody else has anything, anybody, you know? Don? Okay. David G. You have anything for anybody?
No, I think we're all good.
Okay, we're all good? Okay. All right then. Oh yeah. Anybody that had pizza, you can. Bob's got the donation hat over here. So if you want to donate, also don't forget to sign the roster. Okay. The last couple of times I've had people come in and say, well, I forgot to sign it and I had to leave or something like that.
We got pizza back there too.
Yeah, we still got pizza. If you want to take it home, you can do that. Next
Pizza
meeting,
to-go plate.
20 May. That's the next meeting. And let's see. That's it, I think. I got some people here that's got their cards are running out. The expiration dates are running out. So please look at your dues cards, okay?